What does FanDuel do to your football season? Same thing cheese, guac, beans, salsa, and beef do to chips. Makes it better. Contests start from $1. You can play against your friends or even compete for a share of $1 million. Play to win tickets to games and incredible fan experiences. FanDuel. It's the fully loaded nachos your daily fantasy football game's been waiting for. Try FanDuel today for free. No deposit required. Use promo code SNACK for a free shot at $10,000 in cash prizes.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, or blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain or knee pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace or knee brace covered by Medicare at little to absolutely no cost to you. Will you qualify for a Medicare-covered back brace or knee brace? There's only one way to find out.
Call the Back and Knee Brace Center at 1-800-803-8513.
Well, we're going to go at least 4 here in this match between Penn State and Texas A&M, as both teams have now taken a set. Penn State takes the second one just a few minutes ago, 25-19. As we were going into this match, we looked at the players for both teams that we thought were going to be the biggest difference, and there you see what they've done so far. And Abby Dietering, we talked about her in terms of how she was playing versus last night, and Haley Washington for Penn State are both playing pretty well here tonight.
They're playing well, but they have not been the most impactful players for Penn State. For Texas A&M, Camille Connor, 3 kills. She's taken a lot more swings, tried to send the ball over, hasn't been as successful, but she's had 4 blocks. That's been huge for Texas A&M. And Amy Nettles, 7 digs with 2 assists. Going back to talking about Penn State's impact players, it's Simone Lee, who we talked about struggled a little bit last night against Stanford, and she has just been on fire so far for the Nittany Lions. 12 kills, hitting .391, and has really been the spark for this Penn State offense.
Yeah, last night against Stanford, she finished the match with 11 kills, hitting .128. Right now, she's hitting .391 with 12 kills. 3 errors on those attacks she's had. So she's definitely been the go-getter. And then for Texas A&M, Holland Hance has 8 kills for the Aggies, and she's also contributing 2 aces to that as well.
And Kiara McGee hitting 6 kills for Texas A&M on the outside. So really, as we said, it's completely spread out. Yes. Both teams are really giving it to everyone, which it's fun to see because it creates a lot more challenges for the defense as well.
But what's setting those hitters up, we should note, is the fantastic defense that's being shown by these liberos and defensive specialists on both sides, and setters for Penn State on both sides of the net. Weiskircher leading Penn State with 8 digs right now.
Yeah, setters are not always known for their defense, but she's had to take some really, really good tips from Texas A&M and has picked them up great.
Samantha Sanders on the outside, and A&M makes that look really easy when those passes are on point from serve receive.
Camille Connor, by jump setting this ball, she keeps Washington on the ground. Dietering also gets tricked, and Samantha Sanders had a wide open net.
Gabby Litwin with the serve, and Washington goes wide. A big block by Caitlin Blake for that one.
Caitlin Blake is going to get called in the net. She looks a little shocked. Looks like she didn't think she was, and that's an unfortunate break for Texas A&M. I guess I should say it's a fortunate break for Haley Washington, who had the hitting error.
Litwin not able to handle that serve. A&M's going to send a free ball over the net. And the set was off. Washington unable to get it down, and I'm trying to figure out, the ball was out when it landed. But he is going to say it was in, and I'm going to disagree.
The line judge down the line called this tip out.
Lori Corbelli is not going to challenge it. It's really early on in the set to do that.
The up ref, who is right above the ball, said it was in, and he overruled the line judge.
Penn State takes advantage with a block there on that swing by Camille Connor.
A couple of breaks for Penn State right now, and Texas A&M taking a little bit longer in that huddle, saying, hey, settle down. We've got to play our game. We've got to pass this next serve.
Penn State gives them a break after that one, so this set has started off very strangely in terms of some weird calls and just kind of You feel like the adrenaline that you had talked about is kind of out a little bit now that we're settled into this match more. Simone Lee. Caitlin Blake playing some defense for A&M. Holland Hands goes down the line, and how about the defense and the movement by the Texas A&M players on that rally?
And as you mentioned, Caitlin Blake, the middle, but because she's serving, she's having to play defense, had a couple of digs. Holland Hands, what a beautiful spot into that back corner.
So expect Penn State to go after Caitlin Blake again in that deep corner. And they did, and she got it. And then Camille Connor with the heads-up play, and there's a momentum shift now for Texas A&M.
Caitlin Blake with the dig out of the back row for Texas A&M. A hard hit by Lee, and Blake said, hey, no problem. I'll make a perfect dig and set up my setter for the kill.
Lee again off the block this time. Camille to Holland Hands, and Penn State cannot handle it. They were there for it, but could not do anything with it.
We mentioned the beginning of this set was a little odd, some mishits, some weird calls, and now Texas A&M finding their rhythm, able to get some really nice swings.
Penn State, though, on that one gets the point, and they will get that ball back on their side. 4-5 now. The Nittany Lions go back to serve, sending Simone Lee to the back row.
Where she is just as dangerous.
Yes. Doesn't take any power off of their lineup at all. Holland Hands gets the touch, and A&M taking advantage. We talked about out of system. They're using that to their advantage a little bit more now, though.
Holland Hands is executing the idea of going high off the hands of Penn State's block. It's a huge block that's in front of her, and she's getting some of those out of system sets. But she has done such a nice job of seeing the fingers going high off of the hands of the block and creating those very difficult balls for Penn State's defense to get.
Yeah, she's got Nia Reed and Haley Washington in front of her over there. And so you talk about the height. Nia Reed is 6'1", and then Haley Washington is 6'3", and then they can both jump through the roof. And so that's the block that you're mentioning. That's the height that Holland Hands has to work around. Ace for Texas A&M. And just like that, the Aggies go up by 3 here in set number 3. Fourth ace in this match for the Aggies. So for all those service errors we've seen, we've also seen a lot of aces today.
This is a beautiful set by Abby Dietering, who's in the back row for Penn State right now. She's able to save this ball from going over the net, sets it up perfectly for Haley Washington. And as a middle, you have to trust your setter that she is going to get the ball in the air for you. You approach no matter what, you better be up in the air, and Haley Washington was.
A short set that Texas A&M cannot handle. Penn State getting more aggressive with their serves. Haley Washington pulling out the short serve that we have not seen.
That jump float just absolutely drops, and Gabby Litwin unable to get under it for Texas A&M.
Again, Litwin with the serve receive. Hands goes high on that one. So Penn State targeting Gabby Litwin here on this serve receive run.
And when you find someone to pick on and they're unable to produce a good pass, you're going to keep going after them. Expect Haley Washington to go right back at Litwin.
Nettles takes this one, but it is still an overpass. Connor chases this one down, and Holland Hands. Nice, easy shot right in the middle of the court.
And just as we talked about Caitlin Blake having to play defense when she serves, Haley Washington also has to play defense when she serves. Holland Hands, great, smart shot right at the middle blocker who's not used to playing defense. A really good swing by Hands.
Hands is going to get another ace with the help of the net.
That is her third service ace of the day. And again, she puts so much velocity on this serve that even when it hits the net, it's still able to roll over, making it very difficult for Penn State.
They're going to call that one in.
And why I say that's an interesting call is because Amy Hauser had her foot on the line, and it didn't hit her, and it went on the outside of her. So you would think that it was out, but it must have gotten behind her. I don't know. Again, not a good angle for us, but
hard to tell. A&M holding a 1-point lead. And A&M had a chance on that play, but a questionable decision there by Camille Connor.
I'm seeing some freshman jitters right now, even though we're in the third set. A couple of the freshmen are taking swings or just sending the ball right back over instead of playing it and trying to set up a play, and that's what we saw from Connor.
Well, this is an intense match. Holland hands, and she finds the corner, or so they thought she did, and they're going to call that one out. What I was going to say is this is an intense match. These players are giving all of these players on the court are giving 100%, so they're getting tired. You think that's contributing a little to some of these freshman mistakes that we're seeing from the younger players? Camille Connor, though, goes off the block there for the point for A&M.
Definitely the decision-making, and the longer the rally is, sometimes the more flustered you get, and you just want to get the point so bad that you take a swing at it. That was a great decision by Camille Connor. Again, using the block, going high off the hands. Penn State was on her, but she was still able to get it through.
Franti left a little early, and A&M is going to somehow get this ball back over. Penn State, though, not communicating in terms of who is going to take one ball, and A&M is going to come away with that point.
So when A&M sends the ball back over, Dietering actually takes the first contact, the setter, and then all of a sudden there was a total loss of communication on Penn State's side. And again, just an unnecessary point to give to the other team.
Short serve coming from Amy Nettles. A dig by Hands, though, goes long, and another hard-hit ball from Penn State.
And Allie Franti takes such a big approach. Her arm swing is huge. She creates so much power that when she has a good set, she can just unload on it. And so even if you're in a good position, which Holland Hands was, it's so hard to dig a ball that is coming that fast at you.
Lainey Pierce coming in to serve instead of for Simone Biles, this time Simone Lee. Oh my gosh, we've talked about this.
But yes. So usually Pierce comes
Simone
in for
Lee, excuse me.
Coming in for Franti instead.
Yes. Kiara McGee using the soft touch on the ball. Penn State's going to send it over. Camille Connor goes backwards on that dump for the points.
Camille Connor taking things into her own hands, literally going behind her shoulder on this dump. Lee was definitely not ready. Kendall White was not ready. A beautiful, beautiful dump by the freshman setter for Texas A&M.
She'll go to the back row now, but serves this one along, and adrenaline seems to be getting the most out of both of these teams here when it comes to some of these serves here tonight are getting away from them.
Both are serving very aggressively, something that Texas A&M has been working on. Last year, they were not known to be really aggressive servers. We're seeing a lot more of that this season.
Kiara McGee from the right side, and another point from her in this position.
She is 3 for 3 on the right side. In that particular rotation, right before she rotates out of the game for Gabby Litwin to come into the back row, she hits on the right side, and they have gone to her 3 times this evening, and she has gotten 3 kills from that position.
We haven't said Simone Lee's name that much hitting here this set, except for right now, and that one does find the back corner, wondering when she was going to make an appearance, and there it is.
That is such a hard ball to defend, Casey, because you're in between left back and middle back, and it really, truly is no man's land. And a lot of times that deep of a hit looks like it's going out. If you can find that back line, you're getting a kill 99% of the time.
14 kills for Lee. A&M right back at him, finding the hole in the court.
And you see the fire from Caitlin Blake. She knows that it's do or die. They are right there with Penn State. A nice set by Connor, still forcing that 3 ball even though she was off the net.
Out to Lee off the block. Camille Connor is going to run that one down. Holland Hands is going to go off the block, and somehow they get it back over. But then a bad pass and just crazy.
There's a lot of junk.
Volleyball going on that
A lot
play.
of junk above the net. A lot of what looked like it could have been lifts, could have been doubles. You're hearing a lot from the crowd right now, but it really was on both sides. So
John Corbelli was probably saying just that to the down ref right there about some of these missed calls on both sides, really.
Yeah. Reed looked like it could have been a lift, but then again, Camille Connor was back row. It looked like it could have been a back row attack or a lift there for her, too.
Another turf serve from Penn State. Litwin with it. Sanders goes down the line. White saves that point for the Nittany Lions. And there's a point for Penn State, and Kendall White saved that point.
That was a beautiful spot by Sanders, but again, as you said, White did a nice job.
So Penn State up by 1 here in this close match, tied at 1 apiece here at Reed Arena in College Station.
My 5-alarm chili makes game days better. You may not know it, but FanDuel does too. For new players, there are beginner-only contests with real prizes to help you learn the ropes. And since you pick a new team every week, you're never sidelined with injuries or draft busts. Play for as little as $1 or compete for a share of $1 million. Or start a private contest to play against your friends. FanDuel, it's the 5-alarm chili your daily fantasy game's been waiting for.
Try FanDuel today for free. No deposit required. Use promo code UNDRAFT for a free shot at $10,000 in cash prizes.
You know me. I'm the Addiction Network. Over 1.5 million people have called for help. So why haven't you called? What are you waiting for?
I lost everything, and the only way to get my life back was to pick up the phone and call and go to treatment.
For Texas A&M, it's been hauling hands on the outside for the Aggies, putting up some good blocks, tooling off the big block of Penn State. And she's doing it out of the back row as well, Casey. So even when Texas A&M is out of system, hands has been very, very effective. She's got 12 kills on the day. She does have 7 errors, something that she's going to want to look at improving on and trying to cut those errors down, which is why she's only hitting 161. But she's got 3 aces on the day, which has also been very, very key to A&M's success.
Well, her counterpart is serving there for Penn State, Simone Lee. Gabby Litwin continues to have issues with that serve, and hands goes off Kendall White, who reached back for that one for Penn State.
Another good spot. Lee has been finding it for Penn State, hauling hands now for Texas A&M. That deep, deep corner, very difficult to defend. White able to get a hand on it, but...
And Sanders comes back for Texas A&M and serves that one into the net. So Penn State, we continue to just trade points off between these two teams here in this match in this third set.
And it's all about taking advantage of the mistakes. We'll see what Penn State does with this free point that Texas A&M gave them on that missed serve.
Washington goes to Sanders. Connor goes up for the dump, and no matter how many times they see it, she always picks a different spot here, and it's working well for her in this set.
We saw it at the beginning of the match not working well. She was sending those balls right at Penn State defenders. She has finally started figuring out where it needs to go and what kind of pass to do it on as well.
Hard hit serve from hands. Penn State, it looks like there was a little miscommunication there about who was going to take that third hit.
Reed and Thielen both went up for it. It was a very tough serve by hands, which took Penn State out of system. And then on top of that, with the miscommunication.
She gets under this one a little bit, does hands, but when you add in her effectiveness from the back row as a hitter, as a server, and in the front row, you can see why she was an all-SEC freshman player a year ago.
She also never looks tired. She looks the same out there all the time. She's very well conditioned and wants to be out there for all 6 rotations.
Kiara McGee with a super hard swing for Texas A&M. Simone Lee was there, but could not handle it.
I talked about the power of Ali Franti when she's able to get a full approach. It is the same for Kiara McGee and Texas A&M. When she's able to really get outside and take a full approach, she hits the ball so hard, so athletic, generates so much power.
Short serve from Nettles. Going to Lee in the back row and smartly off the hands of Caitlin Blake.
And Blake wants that one back because she was right on top of the correct line of Simone Lee. But because she didn't turn her hands down, they were still too far, I guess, up, vertical, so to say. With the power that Lee creates, it was a great tool by her.
15 kills now for Lee. Leads all teams. Connor again, and these are perfect passes that she's doing this off of, and Penn State is expecting her to set them.
And that's why it's the best time to do it. With a perfect pass, of course, you automatically assume, oh, she's going to set to the middle or the outside or go somewhere with it. And instead, Penn State is getting caught off guard, and it's a great job by Connor.
We're going to have a review on whether this ball was in or out, I believe is what we're looking at on the review here. We'll confirm that.
I think Coach Russ Rose also wanted to talk to the referee about whether that's a throw or not. I don't think he's very happy with where Connor's taking it. He can't challenge that, but he can challenge whether it's landing in or out. It's also giving him time to talk to his team and say, hey, you have got to read. That ball looks in to me. It definitely looks in. And again, because it was called in, it would have to be pretty blatant that it was out for them to overrule it.
Both teams have their 2 timeouts, but as the first 2 sets have shown us, you're going to need those. And so that was a good challenge. He didn't win it, but that was still a great challenge by Coach Rose.
Because really, challenges are also timeouts. It stops play. It allows you to talk to your team. So I agree. It was also a strategic play in the sense of, I could challenge it, and that gives me time to talk to my team versus taking a timeout and wasting one.
And everybody take a deep breath and realign themselves. Simone Lee, again, around that block of Texas A&M.
She is so incredible and so fun to watch.
Yes.
And you can see if you were watching or if you were here and watching the Stanford-Penn State game last night, you could tell by her body language that she wasn't having a great game. She looks like a completely different player.
She's having
today.
fun. She's not as tight. She's having a lot of fun as she's playing out there. Sanders out of the back row, but White is there. And Lee goes down the line, and Camille Connor wasn't able to stop in time to dig that ball.
McGee and Blake kind of moved over at the last second, opening up that line for Lee, and she took advantage of it. As you said, Camille Connor not stopped in defense, and because of that, she was unable to make a play on that ball.
Texas A&M is in the SEC, and it's early in the season, but it's always fun to kind of take a look at where the players rank in terms of what the other players in the SEC are doing. And here's where A&M is right now. And of course, it's no surprise that Hall and Hands is leading in aces right now in the SEC, and that aces per set number will go up after this match. Camille Connor, as a freshman, is ranking second in assists per set as well.
And these are obviously numbers from last weekend's tournament. These will change after this weekend, but just goes to show that, you know, the SEC, as competitive as it can be, Texas A&M's players are right there in the top of the pack.
Penn State up by 1 here in this one. This match is tied at 1 apiece. A&M won the first set 26-24. Penn State won the second set 25-19. The second set was full of a lot of errors by both teams. This set, though, is mirroring the first set just in terms of what the players are able to do at the net.
Penn State is hitting 476 right now in this set, and Texas A&M hitting 357. Those are huge numbers, Casey. We mentioned it before. Hitting percentage for a team, if it's anywhere around 250 or a little bit higher, coaches are usually pretty happy with that. Both of these teams well over 350 right now.
You wonder if conditioning will play a part here. Both of these teams are very in shape, but it is early in the season, and they're not quite used to. Penn State just played a tough match last night.
That's what I was going to say. Penn State played against Stanford in 4 sets last night, a very physical match. They've also been traveling, didn't have the greatest travel schedule getting down to College Station because of Harvey issues and weather issues. And so it will be interesting to see as the match progresses.
McGee, little miscommunication, but somehow still gets the kill on that one, and that ties things back up again at 20.
Connor forced that set to the right side. McGee, she was way off the net, but again, that shot selection, something that she has become so much better at since she started here at Texas A&M, and it paid off.
Tight pass. Hands is going to free ball it over. Penn State looking to take advantage of that, but the block is there from Caitlin Blake and Samantha Sanders. A&M now goes up by 1 here in this set, and Coach Rose wants to use a timeout here and talk about it. This is the point in the match when momentum is so important.
And when you have just blocked the best hitter on Penn State's team, not only did you get in her head, you have created so much momentum for Texas A&M. Now, Simone Lee is a fantastic player, and I have no doubt that she will come out and not be afraid to swing again. But anytime you get a block like that, you make the hitter think a little bit more about what their next decision is going to be.
For Texas A&M, we talked about Camille Connor. She's a freshman. You saw her stats in terms of what she's doing. She's got 27 assists here tonight, but she's also got some kills.
She finally started to get that second contact going, and she's been using the block. She's been using the holes in the defense. And as we mentioned, she's been doing it on perfect passes. And just when Penn State's least expecting it, they're not even ready for the ball. So crafty, so tricky. Really, really impressive stuff from the freshman.
And this is why Laura Corbelli was so excited to get her on campus. She wasn't supposed to be playing this year. A&M thought that they would still have a setter or Stephanie Eipley. You know, A&M lost two of their leading players a year ago. Jazz Babers graduated. She's a middle hitter. And then Stephanie Eipley medically retired. So Camille Connor didn't know as coming in as a freshman that she'd be the starting setter for Texas A&M this year.
Yeah, you had Stephanie Eipley, who was SEC Player of the Year in 2015, thinking it was going to be her senior season. Now you've got a freshman, which we've talked about it before. A&M is not unfamiliar with freshman setters. Stephanie Eipley was a freshman. Ali Sawatsky was a freshman coming in. They've had freshman setters in the past, so that didn't bother them. I think it was just more so Stephanie Eipley having to leave that they weren't sure about.
Haley Washington comes out of that timeout, and that's a point for the coach on that one. Good timing on that one, and good job by Haley Washington. Nice, great pass to start that one off that set that up for her. Tied at 21, continuing to just trade points back and forth. Caitlin Blake hitting air on that one. I think that set was a little low, really. Timing wasn't there.
Connor did have to push it. It wasn't a perfect pass. It was a good pass by Litwin. Dietering is a very, very tough server, but just a little low. Caitlin Blake gets so high, you've got to get that ball up for her.
And at this point in the match and in this set, it's got to be perfect if you're going to get a point off of it. And Penn State is really on their game in terms of paying attention to what's going on at the net.
They are so aggressive above the net, and that play is where Penn State really used their height. Because with Lee and Washington and Reed on the front row, she almost grabs that ball in the block, and then Washington was aware to just take that overpass right back over. Incredible stuff by the seniors for Penn State.
Well, that was Simone Lee's first block, if I'm to believe the stats that are in front of me, which is, I'm trying to figure that out. That's her first block. She got so high
over the net.
She gets really high on those blocks. 17 kills for her in this one. Allie Francie has 9 for Penn State, followed by Haley Washington with 7. Washington has 4 blocks, and that's what we talked about, her being an impact player. That's where we thought she would make the biggest difference for Penn State is in her blocking.
And a big reason Lee has 0 blocks is Texas A&M hasn't been running the right side a ton.
Right.
But when they have, Sanders has just done a really nice job of hitting around the block and hitting cross court. Sanders, she has 4 kills on the day, and all of them have been cross court, where Lee is on the line. So she's just not getting a lot of action over there.
Absolutely. So Penn State 2 points away now from going up 2-1 in this match that it could be a marathon. I would not be surprised to see these two teams come out in set 4, and it's just going to be this tight again.
Texas A&M has to get a side out right here on this ball if they want a chance at this set, because you go down 24-21, it's going to be really tough. But if you can break the serve of Abby Dietering right here and get Caitlin Blake back there to serve, you give yourself a chance in this set.
Penn State also has 1 timeout left. Dietering goes to Litwin, who struggled here in serve receive tonight, and that is going to be a point. So set point now coming up for the Nittany Lions.
It wasn't even a great play by Haley Washington. She kind of pushed it softly over, but got a break, and Penn State with the point.
Litwin again on serve receive, but all in hands comes back with a big shot for the Aggies. Still going to give Penn State set point here. As you mentioned, Caitlin Blake now goes back to serve. So if you're Penn State, you want to aim at her on this hit if you can. And they tried, but the pass wasn't there to set it up. You saw what they wanted to do with that. They couldn't do it.
The set was a little low for Nia Reed, and so she kind of had to come up under the ball, which is why it went out of bounds.
So Coach Rose uses his last timeout of this set, and we talked about Penn State coming into this match and the history that they bring, and the fact that these two teams have not met, and I had to make sure I saw that right.
We were doing the math right.
Since 1990.
Which means Lori Corbelli was not with Texas A&M when they last met. They've only met 3 times. Penn State is 3-0 in the series, but it has been a very, very long time since they've met. And of course, none of these girls familiar. Some of the Texas girls may have played against each other in high school, in club, stuff like that, but very little history between these two programs.
For Penn State, we talked about their experience that they bring. Several of these players were on the team when Penn State won their last national championship in 2014. And now they're seniors on a very experienced team. How important is that going to be, having that experience as they go into this year?
I think more than anything, it makes them hungrier for it. They were all freshmen when they last won the national championship. Therefore, probably did not see any playing time or very much playing time. So even though they've won one, they probably they want to go out with one, obviously. And so I think it really creates a lot of hunger for that senior class. And as you mentioned, the experience, they've been on that stage once before. They've been to the championship game and they've won it. With that, that's going to be very, very helpful as their season progresses.
Right now, they've got set point here in College Station, trying to go up 2-1 over Texas A&M. They're going to go to Washington, and she is going to get that done. So Penn State takes set 3. 25-23, and what a great match that we've got going here. We will be back for set 4 here between